Okay, so ever think about what it'd be like to control the kind of power that could build galaxies?
Yeah. Well, that's the world we're diving into.
Really gets you thinking, right?
You've mentioned before how much Destiny's world and stories fascinate you.
Totally. It's endless possibilities.
So, we're cracking open the Grimoire, the Year One edition, to give you and everyone listening a crash course.
Like a boot camp, but for Guardians and all the forces they wield. Oh, and of course, the enemies they go up against. Can't forget them.
Right. It's one thing to read the game's lore, but another to really get into it.
Absolutely.
So think of this deep dive as your, decoder ring for everything Destiny.
We'll start simple. What exactly is a Guardian? Imagine this. You're brought back from death's door.
Not exactly a fun Tuesday, right?
No, kidding. But here's the kicker. Reviving you is this, well, giant machine thing powered by some ancient force, something unknowable.
Okay, starting to sound a little creepy now, maybe a little. But this force, this Traveler, it makes you its weapon. You're infused with its light, and boom, you're destined to fight in this huge cosmic war.
And the fate of, well, everything hangs in the balance. No pressure, right?
Exactly. And get this, there isn't just one way to be a guardian. The Grimoire talks about titans, hunters, and warlocks, each one totally unique.
So like picking a class in a video game, what speaks to your soul?
Kind of. You're thinking, I want to be the unbreakable wall, the first one in to face the darkness. Then, well, Titan's your calling.
With the classic tank charging into battle without a second thought.
Yeah, but with a cosmic twist. They wade into the thick of it, shields up, taking hit after hit so others can, actually fight back. They embody resilience.
Okay, I can see the appeal. What about those who prefer a bit more finesse?
Ah, you're thinking hunter then.
Yeah.
Picture a lone wolf, all stealth and precision. They take down an enemy, and instead of, leaving a bloodbath,
Please tell me they leave a calling card.
they leave a message, but it's written in their enemy's own ether. That's how a hunter builds their rep.
Okay, that's pretty metal. It's like Space Ninja meets Gunslinger.
There's definitely an element of that. Now, if you're more the studious type, always trying to unlock the universe's secrets.
Unlocking secrets. That sounds dangerous.
It can be. That's where warlocks come in. They're the scholars of the light, always digging into its mysteries, figuring out how it ticks. Some even mess with the void.
The void, as in the source of the traveler's power.
That source code, yeah. Warlocks can manipulate energy, control the elements, even bend reality itself. It's pretty wild. And within each class, there are even more specializations, subclasses like gunslingers, blade dancers, voidwalkers. Each one a different flavor of awesome.
So you're not just reading about these characters, you're really getting a sense of what it'd be like to be one.
Exactly. And the thing is, Guardians aren't fighting solo. They're all part of something bigger happening right in the last city.
Humanity's last hope. But we all know every good story needs its players.
Oh, yeah. And the Grimoire's got them. You've got the Speaker, the Vanguard, even a queen shrouded in mystery.
Okay, hold up. Tell me more about the speaker. They sound intriguing.
Imagine someone completely cloaked in mystery, the only link between humanity and the Traveler. That's them. Some even whisper they're more than a messenger.
More than a messenger. Like what? What else could they be?
That they've got powers, knowledge, stuff we can't even grasp. It's all whispers, of course, but still.
Intriguing. So if the speaker's the voice, then the Vanguard, they're like the protectors of the last city, right?
Think of them as the shield and sword. Zavala, the Titan, he's strength through and through. Cade Six, the hunter, he's all wit and battle smarts. And Ikora, the warlock, she's making sure the next generation of Guardians is ready for, well, anything.
Sounds like they've got all the bases covered.
You'd think, right? But it's never that simple. Even with the Traveler, even with everything on the line, humanity, we still squabble amongst ourselves.
We're talking factions, aren't we?
Yep. Turns out, even when you're staring down annihilation, figuring out how to rebuild. Yeah, that's messy.
So it's not just about surviving the day, but surviving tomorrow and the next day and the one after that. And everyone's got a different idea of how to do that. Tell me more about these factions.
Well, there's the Future War Cult, and they are obsessed with controlling the future, even if it means using some seriously dangerous tech to mess with time.
Sounds risky. What exactly are they hoping to achieve with all this time bending?
For them, knowledge is power, ultimate power. And to control the future, you need to know what's coming.
Yeah, I guess that makes a kind of sense, even if it sounds a bit extreme. What about Dead Orbit? They're the ones who think the Travelers pieced out, right? Given up on us.
Yeah, they've been poking around in the black, and they're convinced we need a new home, somewhere far, far away. They talk about the Iraq-on series going crazy because they stumbled across something too big, too much to even understand.
Okay, now that's creepy. And a little sad, if I'm being honest. What about this new monarchy? They're the ones who want to go back to the good old days, right?
They want the golden age back, that time before the collapse when things were good. Think strong leadership, order, that kind of thing. Of course, some think they're chasing a dream. They can't just rewind the clock.
It's interesting, though, all these factions, they want the same thing, humanity to make it, but their ways of getting there, completely different.
Sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
It makes you think, what would you do if you were in their shoes, facing those choices, that impossible pressure?
Especially with what's lurking outside the last city walls. Let's talk about those enemies, those threats that Guardians are constantly facing down.
Yeah, gotta love a good enemy. We'll start with the Fallen. Imagine spending your whole existence scavenging, desperate to reclaim a past so distant you can barely remember it.
Trying to reignite a dying sun, they're almost sympathetic. Almost.
That's the thing about the Fallen. It's desperation fueling them. But they're not one big homogeneous blob. You've got different houses, each with its own way of surviving.
Right, like the devils, all brute force.
Oh yeah, the devils hit hard.
Yeah.
Then you've got the exiles, cast out from other houses. They're unpredictable, desperate. And we can't forget about the House of Winter, setting up shop on Venus.
The Grimoire mentions something about servitors. What are those exactly?
Think of them as giant, mechanical.
Yeah.
Well, they process matter and energy into ether, which is basically what the Fallen need to survive.
They're like living, breathing gas stations.
Something like that. And then they're the prime servitors. They're on a whole other level.
In what way? How are they different from the regular ones?
Imagine a walking, talking power source that's also like a religious icon. They're not just machines. The Fallen worship them. It's a bit intense.
So the Fallen, they're driven by this desperate need to survive. They're clinging to whatever they can. But the Hive, the Grimoire makes them out to be truly terrifying.
Yeah, the Hive. They're not messing around. Their whole belief system, this sword logic, it's chilling.
Survival of the fittest, but on a cosmic scale?
Exactly. It's like only the strong deserve to exist, taken to a whole other level of terrifying. And the figures leading them, Crota, Omnigul, they're the embodiment of that brutal philosophy.
Crota, he's the God Knight, right? The one everyone's terrified of.
The one and only. And Omnigul, his right hand basically making sure their creepy rituals go off without a hitch.
It's enough to give you nightmares. But as creepy as the Hive are, you were saying earlier that the Vex are something else entirely.
Oh, the Vex. There's something else. They're not driven by desperation or some messed up philosophy. They're driven by, well, we don't know. Their logic, it's beyond us. And yeah, they can manipulate time.
You're not really selling me on these guys.
Okay, imagine this. You're in a firefight, things are intense, and then your enemy just vanishes. Gone. Before you can even blink, they're right beside you, weapons locked and loaded.
That's just unfair.
That's the Vex for you. Time-traveling machines. But the really freaky part, they're all connected.
Connected? Like Bluetooth or something?
More like one giant universe-spanning brain. Every Vex, from the little goblins to the massive hydras, it's all one mind.
So you're not fighting an army, you're fighting against a force of nature.
That can control time. Fun times, right? And at the heart of it all, you've got the Axis minds. They're the ones calling the shots, making sure the Vex reshapes the universe in their own image. And the really unsettling part is, we have no idea why.
So we've got the desperate, the terrifying, and the time-bending. What else is out there that wants to take a shot at ruling the cosmos?
Oh, we can't forget about the Cabal.
The Cabal? Who are they?
They make the Hive look downright cuddly. Imagine an empire so militaristic, so disciplined, they conquer planets with the precision of a well-oiled machine.
And they've got the firepower to back it up, right?
Oh, yeah. Soldiers basically born in their armor, weapons for every occasion. Slug throwers that fire projectiles the size of cars, giant tanks that shake the ground when they move. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Not but. There's always a but, right?
There is. Even the Cabal, with all their might, they fear something.
Let me guess. The darkness.
Bingo. The ultimate enemy. Think back to the collapse. That wasn't just some random Tuesday.
That was the darkness showing up and nearly wiping out humanity.
Exactly. The Traveler fought back, obviously, sacrificed itself to drive the darkness away. But not before the enemy could land a few punches.
And that's where Guardians come in. Resurrected to fight a war they barely remember against an enemy that's basically the boogeyman of the universe.
Pretty much. But here's the kicker. We don't really know why the Traveler picked us, or why the darkness wants us gone. It's all a bit of a mystery.
So we've got the heroes, the weapons, and the enemies. But the real question is, what do we actually know about the driving forces behind it all? The Traveler and the darkness.
And, speaking of mysteries, the places where Guardians fight, they're just as interesting as the enemies themselves,
Oh, absolutely. We can't just gloss over the locations. The Grimoire talks about the Cosmodrome, the Moon, even Venus. What makes these places so important? What makes them stand out?
Well, picture this. You're walking through the ruins of Earth's first attempt to reach the stars. It's all crumbling, picked over, a bit eerie, That's the Cosmodrome.
A graveyard of dreams, kind of.
Yeah, but it's not empty. The Fallen have moved in.
So it's dangerous, sure, but probably full of lost tech, right? A scavenger's paradise.
Exactly. Danger and opportunity all wrapped up in one. Then you've got the Moon hanging up there, always watching. Except, well, the Hive have kind of ruined the vibe.
It's not exactly a relaxing weekend getaway anymore.
Not unless you're into creepy rituals and that sort of thing. But the Moon's got secrets. Things buried deep that might explain the collapse. What started all this.
So it's like a giant haunted mystery box in the sky. Okay, I can get behind that. Now, Venus. That one breaks my heart a little. Wasn't it supposed to be, like, paradise?
It was. Lush jungles, teeming with life. Then the Traveler's enemies showed up. Now, it's toxic, ravaged by storms, fought over by the Fallen and Vex. Not exactly a vacation spot these days.
A reminder that even paradise can fall. What about Mars? Anything interesting hiding out in that red dust besides giant sandworms?
More than you might think. Buried under all that sand, remnants of an old civilization from the Golden Age. They even had this war mind, Rasputin.
War mind? Is that like what I think it is?
Think AI, but so advanced it could reshape entire landscapes with weapons.
Okay, yeah, that's terrifying. An AI with that much power, even without the alien invasions, that seems risky.
Some secrets are better left buried, right?
Probably. Okay, we've talked about Earth, the Moon, Venus, Mars. What about the reef? It seems so peaceful compared to all the others.
Ah, the reef. Hidden away in the debris of a shattered asteroid belt, ruled by that mysterious queen we talked about earlier. It's a haven for those who want to escape the chaos closer to the sun.
But with all the mystery surrounding the queen, I'm guessing there's more to the reef than meets the eye. There's always more to uncover.
Always. That's the thing about this universe. Even the darkest corners, the most desolate places, there's always something more to discover. Sometimes good, sometimes not so much.
Speaking of things not so good, let's talk about the Traveler and the darkness.
The heart of it all, right. The Traveler shows up, all light and mystery, and boom, humanity's golden age begins. We're talking tech, knowledge, advancements we can't even imagine anymore. But like all good things,
It couldn't last. Enter the collapse.
exactly. Skies go dark, civilizations crumble, humanity almost goes extinct. The Grimoire doesn't hold back on how bad it got.
But the Traveler fought back, right? It didn't just abandon us.
It did. It sacrificed itself to drive back the darkness. Took a beating for us.
And that's where the Guardians come in. Brought back, gifted with the Traveler's light, tasked with fighting a war they barely understand against an enemy they barely know.
And we still don't know why the Traveler chose us, or why the darkness wants to destroy us. It's all a bit...
Frustrating.
Yeah, a little frustrating, to say the least. But that's part of what makes it so compelling, right? Trying to figure it all out.
So what do we actually know about the darkness? I mean, besides it being, really bad news.
Well, the Grimoire describes it as, like, the opposite of the Traveler's light, entropy, where the Traveler creates, the darkness consumes. Some think it's a being, something with a mind, intent on wiping out all hope.
That's a cheery thought.
Others think it's like a force of nature, the inevitable end to everything.
So like trying to fight off the end of the universe?
Pretty much. It makes you wonder,
Mm.
are the Guardians fighting a losing battle?
That's a fun thought. But the Grimoire hints at something else, right? Something more to the darkness.
You're thinking about those who believe the darkness isn't evil, just different. Another side of the same coin.
Light and darkness. Two sides of the same coin. But you need both for balance, right?
Maybe. We're still trying to understand it all. It's like...
It's like we're trying to understand something that's, I don't know, beyond us.
It really is. And the Grimoire, it doesn't make it easy. All these scattered stories, different perspectives. It's more like hints than a history book.
Right, like trying to solve a puzzle, but the pieces keep changing. It's frustrating, but also kind of amazing, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And even with all the mysteries, some stories, they just stick with you.
Oh, totally. They make you think. Like, what about Toland the Shattered?
Ah, Toland. Now, there was a guardian who dove headfirst into the deep end.
He was obsessed with the Hive, right? Wanted to understand them more than anyone.
Just wanted to know everything. Toland was brilliant, a warlock through and through, but that curiosity, it could be a dangerous thing. He dug deeper into Hive lore than anyone, even went into their ascendant realms.
Those are the Hive's, like, own personal dimensions, right? Where the rules of reality don't apply.
Exactly. Places where the Hive's power is absolute.
And that's where it all went wrong for Toland, right? He went too deep.
The Grimoire hints at it. Stared into the abyss too long, and well, it stared back. The whispers, the knowledge, it broke him.
So he went mad, became another victim of the darkness.
You could say that. But it's more complicated than that. Toland's story, it's a reminder. Some things, some knowledge, it comes at a cost.
Heavy stuff. So where does this all leave us? If someone's listening to this, just starting to explore the world of Destiny, what should they take away from all of this?
Honestly, don't be afraid to get lost. This universe, it's meant to be explored. You've got these epic stories, characters you can't help but get invested in, places that are both beautiful and terrifying. Dive into the Grimoire, get lost in the lore, find what fascinates you.
Because in the end, it's about being part of something bigger, right? This story that's still being written.
Exactly. Who knows? Maybe someday it'll be your guardian's legend in the Grimoire.
Well, that's a thought. This deep dive has been a lot. We've talked about what it means to be a guardian, the factions, the enemies, the traveler, the darkness, even those places where reality itself seems to break down.
And we've only scratched the surface.
That's the exciting part. There's always more to discover.
Always another mystery to unravel, another battle to fight.
So to you, listening out there in the real world, we say this: embrace the unknown, seek the light, but be wary of the darkness. Your destiny awaits.